What's up, you guys? I'm over here at the Durango High School auditorium. There's going to be a meeting going on today regarding the application for Durango, or for Ascent Classical Academies of Durango and their charter school application. So we're going to go inside and listen to what people have to say about whether or not Durango School District 9R should approve this application. Jason, what's going on, buddy?
Adam, how, man? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
How's it going?
Good. I'm waiting to see if this thing's open. It's at 4 o'clock.
What did Karen Chester just come out to say?
I don't know. I rushed to get here and I was standing around. So. I guess it's too much to ask for you to be on time. Not like I had to leave work to do this.
Well, look at the clock right there. The clock's off. You see that?
There ain't a clock in the district.
Really? Next time. That's not the time right there. Current time is just about 4 p.m.
The 4 minutes. I haven't worked for 3 years.
Okay.
How are you? Oh, this is not too being a student, sure program. Where is it?
I canceled. We're going to go up to the Focus Island.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And I just got out of the funeral. Hey. It's the only husband's wife got her pancreatic cancer. Hi. Hello. How are you?
Not bad. Where's this place? Good, how are you? We'll no longer have a badge? Whenever they come to tell us,
4 o'clock.
I do not know where I just want to get out of football. Well, here for the forum. Yeah, they're not ready to let anybody in yet. It's going to be about 4 o'clock, so they're waiting for a couple of the security team to come in.
Okay.
So as soon as the superintendent allows us to open doors, we'll let them in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay? Good, how are you?
Guys, you guys are here. Okay, we're gonna let everybody in since you're here. Okay? All right, everybody come in now. Our security are here, and they've got the guidelines there for you too. Hi, how are you, Mr.
I got the
DJ?
tour.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
I'm sorry. I realized afterwards I'm sitting here blocking away with my big old box. Well, you're number one.
What's up?
What, man? What's up, man?
I don't know you, but
I don't know you.
Look at you guys up here.
our timer is very friendly. It's very friendly.
The timer?
Yeah, because mine might go over like 5 seconds.
It won't break. Yeah, but you just need to. It's not a. You guys are speaking.
Yeah.
It's on.
neighborhood one, I guess.
You what?
I feel like this charter school is secretly converted.
Would you like to put one on?
That's okay.
It's the charter school. Okay. Anybody would like one of these?
Absolutely not.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm sure. If you got an email, what's your name?
We can get started. Let me
I've never seen a program which is good.
You're 84 names. You're just not saying all the names right now. What's your name? I can take. I'm the one that sent everybody an email.
I have 8
That sounds good. Did you get an email?
My parents
On Friday night? I did. Yeah, then you're saying thank you so much. Yes.
So I remember like 30
close to her.
2 minutes each. No.
No, but like you know like when like is there like a sort of
Yes.
okay.
So it could be on your phone.
Well,
Or listen or whatever.
no, it's just you know I have a pen.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we can go ahead and start.
Mr. Bell, can you hear me?
We're going to make sure everybody's here, everyone, so raise your hand. Thank you so much. And thank you for your patience and waiting until 4 o'clock so we can have all our kids out and we can have all of the security ready. And as you know, we are really making sure that our safety and security processes are in place. Patty Morris, our Director of Security, is one of the best in the state, and we want to make sure we follow those protocols. So I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding about what time to come here, but yeah, 4 o'clock is good. So I'm Dr. Karen Chester, Superintendent of Durango School District 9R, here in South Durango. And, okay, can you hear me now? Okay, so every speaker, see how close I am to the mic, okay? You can hear me at this level, right here, right? So that will be really important to make sure you are close enough because we want to hear everyone, give everybody time to say their viewpoints. And so what we're doing tonight is we're having 2-minute talks. We have 84 people signed up for, 82 people. So as you can imagine, we need to move along quickly because we're already going to be here till about 7 o'clock. We wanted to make sure everyone who wanted to say something had an opportunity to do that. In addition, you can put your comments online on the public comments. We have board members here, we have members of the DAC advisory committee here, and we have staff members. So all of the different people who are going through the application, rating it according to the rubric, are here to hear your viewpoints. I hope that you've had a chance to look through the application and the appendices so that you can be aware of that application. We are listening tonight. However, the ultimate decision about whether or not different parts are in place will really come from that application. And also there will be an interview with the remaining questions of Ascent next Friday morning. But we wanted to give every opportunity. We are following our policy, even though we have a really tight time frame, and wanted to make sure you had an opportunity. Now I have some guidelines to go over. Both in the Ascent's virtues and also our school district portrait of a graduate, there are virtues and values and competencies that we want all of our students to have. And we know that our Durango community also wants to live those competencies. One of the most important for a portrait of a graduate that we want all of our students to achieve is empathetic collaborator. But it's really important for us to show kindness and compassion, respect, and personal responsibility. And I am begging you tonight to please do that. And so we have a couple of guidelines. Unfortunately, if we may have to provide some warnings. I have full faith that this group is going to be respectful, and we're not going to have to do that. We have to have, like we said, there's 82 people. So we have to really stick by this 2 minutes. And that's when I sent you the guidelines on Friday night and said that please practice your pause so that we don't go over that time. We want to make sure everybody's aware of the time, so it gives you a cue as to how much time you have left. And so we put this time clock together. So we are going to have to, it's not going to be nice, so please just stop at 2 minutes. We don't want to have to censor anyone or have, cause any kind of confusion like that. So a couple other things that were also in the guidelines that we sent are that personnel matters will not be discussed. Please don't talk about individual people, or if you're aggravated with a teacher, or something's happened like that. There are other opportunities for that, and I assure you, please, you can contact me. I usually give people my cell phone number. I'll give you my cell number right now. It's 970-946-8270. So if you have a specific concern or question, please text me, please email me, and we can work that out within the district. We know this one's going to be really hard, so you may have to sit on your hands. Please do not applaud speakers. We have people in this, people have raw emotions, and there are things that people feel very passionately about. And I love that you're passionate about education. But we really have to refrain from that, because we want everyone to have the opportunity to be able to say what they're going to say, and then we get to the next person. And we're recording for our board member who couldn't be here, and our DAC advisory committee members who couldn't be here. We want to make sure that recording can hear things, and then we also want to make sure that we can get to the next person and give everyone respect. So please no applauding, and certainly not no booing. You wouldn't do that. We ask everyone to listen and address others with respect. We're not going to entertain any slander, name-calling, or public defamation of any individual. That's not what we want from our kids, and that's certainly not what we want from our adults in our community. Please focus on issues, not individuals. And as we said, we really have to stick to the 2-minute time limit, and I'm going to quit talking here so we can get to our first speaker. And so we will call you up. Please be ready. Carol Cure, you are first.
I'm Carol Cure, and I want everyone to be aware of the numerous waivers that Ascent is requesting from state and district policies. In addition to automatic waivers, including an exemption from teacher licensing requirements, which means that Ascent's teachers won't have to be certified or qualified to teach in our public schools. Ascent's application lists 14 pages of additional waiver requirements. These policies were enacted to protect our students, our teachers and staff, and our community, and to ensure that our students get the best possible education. Ascent is requesting waivers from 9R's instructional policies concerning health, family life, and sex education, drug, alcohol, and tobacco education, bullying prevention, and preparation for post-secondary and workforce success. They want to be exempt from policies concerning student organizations, discipline of students with disabilities, use of physical intervention, prevention and restraint, and communicable diseases. Think masks. They want to be exempt from required procedures for student suspension, expulsion, and denial of admission. Their application says Ascent should be allowed these waivers because it wants its students to align with the school's mission and vision, so it needs the proper staff. They not only want to hire unlicensed teachers and administrators, but to have their own compensation plans and allow persons not holding an administrator's certificate to do teacher evaluations. Does this mean they can pay an unlicensed administrator a $500,000 salary? Ascent also wants to be exempt from healthy beverage requirements, rules concerning acceptance of gifts and donations, and conflict of interest rules for competitive bidding and sale of goods. These are just a few of their requested waivers. Why do they need them?
Thank you, and thank you all for not, I appreciate you not clapping or Kelly Haggerty.
Test, test, test. Kelly Haggerty, Durango, Colorado. It has been suggested that 9R does not have time or the adequate training to review Ascent's application. This could be remedied by using the Charter School Institute, CSI, the Colorado statewide authorizer for charter schools. CSI will offer help with 9R with this review without having to relinquish any authority. CSI has reviewed Ascent on 2 other successful Colorado schools and can use that prior knowledge to assist and expedite their review. It has been suggested that Ascent is a religious school. This is inaccurate. This myth comes from Ascent's relationship with Hillsdale College. Hillsdale College is a sturdy defender of liberal arts. Hillsdale was the first American college to prohibit discrimination based on race, religion, or sex in its charter, and was the second college in the nation to grant 4-year liberal arts degrees to women. Further, if Ascent was trying to religiously indoctrinate students, the 2 currently successful Ascent schools would have already revealed that, but they have not. It has been suggested that Ascent will take jobs and money from 9R. This is inaccurate. Almost 70% of their letters of interest are from home and private school families. So a new charter school would not drain 9R. These families would add approximately $500,000 in additional tax revenue and approximately $300,000 to 9R through state and federal money. Further, Ascent will need teachers and staff. Ascent will add many good-paying jobs into Durango. It is suggested that 9R wants diversity. This appears to be inaccurate. There is currently nothing like Ascent Classical Academy in this area. Classical education would bring diversity to those that want this type of education for their children, and children learn in different ways and different structures. Ascent would provide that diversity and choice for those students. Further, last, it has been suggested that Durango does not need another charter school. This is inaccurate. Ascent now has over 610 expressions of interest by parents and family in the 9R community. Where is the recognition of these taxpayer families' needs? Oh, I can't read all this, that's fast. Disregard the misinformation. Understand and recognize that Ascent is in high demand. Thank you very much.
Stephanie Moran. No, please. Okay, guys, that's the first warning. We're not going to have that. So I really need you to follow this rule.
ACA acts like a private school masquerading as a public entity. As a state and national chain charter, it has no interest in a local approach except for the PPO offerings our community would provide. ACA needs to rely solely on its own curricular, code of conduct, teacher standards, and a focus on the true, the good, and the beautiful. Concepts open to vast interpretation, not all of it true, good, or beautiful. The only real requirement it must meet is state assessment minimum levels as mandated by the CDE and state board. Sadly, not that high a bar. Thus, it is essential that if 9R agrees to this charter, certain matters are definitively settled at the outset, including the supposedly random lottery system that is anything but as described in public meetings. The lottery must be conducted with 9R's full partnership and district oversight and be open to public scrutiny to assess a student demographic so reflective of our tri-ethnic community. Removal of students should be based only on safety issues for students and staff, not on whether a student arrives with rainbow hair, a visible tattoo, or a disheveled uniform. Also, please do not allow the 58 automatic 9R policy waivers unless every single one is fully reasoned. An example of an illogical exemption is not allowing teachers to transfer ACA because it teaches, its curriculum is so unique that experienced and certified teachers are somehow unable to teach it effectively. This is more like keeping a closed circle closed so that inculcation is easier to effect. It's also dishonest and unprincipled. May the concept of a taxpayer-based school open to all students based on the separation of church and state guide your decision.
Next we have Karen Pontius.
I'm Karen Pontius. I live in Durango. I have 2 grandkids in the 9R system, and I want the school board to deny ACA's application. I heard proponents of Ascent give passionate reasons why they should have school choice. The taxpayer dollars should pay for classical education instead of what's taught in our public schools. Ascent's website states, quote, "America has paid the price with a citizenry that does not share a common culture as we once did," end quote. But did we ever share a common culture? America is a young country and has only grown because of immigrants from many countries and cultures. America also owes its prosperity to its original genocide of indigenous peoples and a long history of slavery. Effects of this past are evident today. Will Ascent gloss over those aspects of our history? Let's indoctrinate our kids with facts, not agendas. Critical race theory has been brought up recently, and the panic over it is being used to prop up arguments for school choice. The false message that CRT is being taught at the K-12 level is connected with the phrase school choice. So angry parents are now advocating nationwide that taxpayer dollars should pay for the school of their choice instead of public schools. I've heard some say that Ascent is not a religious school. Ascent is closely allied with the deeply conservative and Christian Hillsdale College. Our local community has a right to know what, if any, impacts this alliance will have on the school and its curriculum. A religious school is fine, just so it's not paid for with taxpayer funds. Our public schools can't afford to work with less funding. Ascent was kicked out of Douglas County School District because they had a program which allowed teachers to carry concealed firearms on campus, contrary to district policy. This is relevant here as our community has debated this issue and rejected the idea of armed security guards and teachers' staff. Thank you.
Next is Michelle. I'm sorry about the name. Hanesian?
Yes.
Okay.
No worries. Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for hosting us. My name is Michelle Dernesian. I'm a City of Durango resident. As a 9R, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. As a 9R parent, attorney, and concerned community member, I'm here to ask that you deny the charter applied for by Ascent Classical Academy, as this proposed school violates the constitutional mandate of separation between church and state. And unlike its stated goals, it actually seeks to weaken public education. That's why we're here. Of course, we're not going to find the Christianity being peddled, to use the words of an Ascent supporter, in the pages of their application or their curriculum. But they don't actually hide their light under a bushel. You don't have to look very far to see the connections between Ascent and Christianity. We've already talked about Hillsdale, a small conservative Christian college based in Michigan. I won't go into that anymore. But there are some Christian connections that are quite literally written on the wall. If you look at the photograph on the Ascent homepage for Durango, I will learn the true, I will do the good, I will love the beautiful. A motto coming directly to us from the New Testament, Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. A search of these phrases shows that the phrase is, quote, a favored motto of classical Christian education, one that serves as a helpful reminder for Christian classical educators. But perhaps more troubling is the fact that Hillsdale and their Barney Charter School initiative is really after gutting public education. They want to take away the charter from this local school board and place it with CSI. In the words of Derek Schuler, CEO, Ascent Classical Academy's CEO, speaking to the Colorado Christian College, he says, in a talk entitled, "The Challenges with Government-Run Education," conservatives especially, need to wake up and reject the idea that school districts are local control. We need to get back to what it was intended to be. And what they are intending to do is have the Hillsdale model placed in all the charter schools to have a consolidation of philosophy and slowly and surely continue the attack our public school system, which we all cherish.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Amarin Maestas. Yeah, sorry. I just came in. Well, you're just in time. There you go.
Hi, thank you for taking public comment. My name is Amber Maestas. I teach second grade at Florida Mesa. And my kids go to Florida Mesa as well. And I had asked that we not approve the charter school. We're doing so many wonderful things right now. Next year, adding interventionists, adding a science teacher. Our class sizes are a really wonderful level. And I feel like our students are getting the supports that they need, and we're moving in the right direction with adding more and more supports that are going to help all of our students. And opening a charter, I fear, would divert funds into smaller groups, which would be detrimental to all of our students. So for that reason, I'd ask that we keep our funds consolidated amongst the schools that we currently have. Thank you.
Lori Costello.
My name is Lori Costello. I'm a family physician living in the Needham Elementary District and appreciate the opportunity to share my personal experience.
Just a second, we need to start the timer. Laura?
I've been waiting for the introduction and then starting it, so I'm staying consistent.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I appreciate the opportunity to share my personal experience in both private and public education. I grew up in California and attended UC Davis Medical School in the early 80s. The University of California consistently ranks at or near the top of public universities in the U.S. because of rigorous standards for both faculty and curriculum. This year, 4 UC medical schools also rank in the top 15 in the nation for diversity. When I was in medical school, the human genome had not been mapped. Today it is available to the public. Lifelong learning is imperative given the ongoing explosion of knowledge in our world today. There has also been an explosion of disinformation and misinformation that is contributing to the erosion of our communities and to our distrust of one another. While practicing in Spokane, Washington for 25 years, I was involved in the clinical education of not only medical students and residents, but also nursing and PA students who learned directly from me and my patients, both in the clinic and in the hospital. After clinical practice, I taught in 2 different private, for-profit Caribbean medical schools that fail to provide a quality education and do not prioritize student well-being. These schools are not accredited in the U.S. and lack quality standards for curriculum and faculty, yet they receive U.S. taxpayer dollars with essentially no accountability. Durango's children deserve to be prioritized, and our collective future depends on responsible stewardship of tax dollars with accountability for quality curriculum and faculty. The diversion of public funds to narrow, private, interest-driven schools such as Ascent will likely contribute to a descent in the well-being of our community. 14 pages of exemptions from proven standards for quality will further the divide. Please deny Ascent's application.
Joanne Smotherman.
I'm a teacher. I've been behind this podium before. Hello, my name is Joanne Smotherman. I'm a math teacher here at Durango High School. In reviewing the 177-page charter application that Ascent Classical Academy submitted to Durango 9R on February 7th this year, I became very concerned at the quantity and nature of the many waivers that Ascent has requested. The nature of the waivers by Ascent has nothing to do with the implementation of a classical education program and everything to do with removing They wish to operate in secret and without answering to anyone except themselves. And the quantity of waivers they have requested in order to achieve their goal of non-regulation amounts to 75 rules and policies that they wish to avoid being accountable to. I'll use the rest of my minute to read a few of those. You've already heard many of them. They request to have unlicensed teachers. They request to have unlicensed administrators. They request to evaluate their teachers based on a different set of criteria than the rest of Colorado, such that they cannot be compared. They want to be able to fire teachers and staff at will and without reason. They do not want to be subject to the state requirements for the number of hours that a student is in contact with their teachers. They say that theirs will be more, but they don't say what theirs will be. They want to avoid assessing their incoming kindergartners so that the growth or decline of those students can be measured over time. They wish to be allowed to exploit students by selling them goods for profit. Coupled with that is that they want to be allowed to sell soda pop at school. Don't know why that's something they want, except that there's a nice big profit margin on it.
Time.
Thank you.
Brianna Johnson.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brianna Johnson, and I'm a teacher here in Durango, Nine-R. I want to speak with you all today about the funding crisis in Colorado. Over the last decade plus, Durango 9R has been underfunded by the state by over $60 million. Fortunately, this community is very supportive of education, and all of us taxpayers have proven that at the polls. However, considering the funding crisis we still face in Colorado and in Durango specifically, I'm extremely worried about what consequences may come from opening another charter school here. I worry about the services that will be stretched so thin and will make it challenging to meet students' needs. I worry about educators being able to make a livable wage here in Durango, which we all know is extremely expensive, and livable wage in education is already an issue. If we truly want to see our students succeed and reach proficiency, then I suggest we continue investing in our public school system. Examples of diversity and inclusion can be seen in every single classroom in 9R. Echoing what Amron said, our district is headed in the right direction for improving and increasing diversity and inclusion, and education overall. For example, at Florida Mesa next year, we are housing the Autism Center to best meet the needs of some students in our district and to invite them into our inclusive and welcoming learning environments. I urge every registered voter here tonight to do their research regarding the political candidates who will be on the ballot next month, and hope that you all vote in favor of education for our children, for our future, for everything, and as well in regards to this charter school. Thank you.
Jason Meacham.
My name is Jason Meacham. Excuse me. I have kids in the Durango 9R school district. I have 2 of them. I didn't prepare a lot, so I just wanted to speak a little bit just about Durango in general. I'm a product of the Durango school system. My parents were, my kids will be. Durango has always been very welcoming and diverse, and we celebrate that in almost every aspect of our lives. I don't see why it should be any different in educational opportunities. Put it out there, provide the choices to parents. If they take advantage of it, great. If they want to choose 9R public schools, great. I don't think we should exclude any one segment. All kids learn differently. We've learned that in the last 30 years. They may need a different vehicle to get to success. If we as a community can provide that, why wouldn't we? Help kids who learn differently. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution for schooling. The Durango School District mission, this is one thing I will read. The mission of the Durango School District is an innovative educational system committed to excellence to ensure each student develops the skills and attributes for lifelong learning and has the ability to compete and contribute in the global community by guaranteeing equitable educational opportunities and a safe open environment. This is one way we can guarantee an equitable distribution of education. Provide some choice. I don't think it hurts. It helps the community. More jobs for teachers, more opportunities for kids, more opportunities for parents. If we're down to talking about soda pop, we're in trouble. I went here for 4 years and I walked by pop machines every day, and I managed to graduate and earn 2 college degrees afterwards. So, thank you.
No, please don't. If you want to clap quietly or do this, that's fine. Kristen Mishka.
My name is Kristen Mishker. I'm a wife and mother of 3. I've worked in all of the 9R schools at some point in the past, and I've embraced homeschooling for my family and also the education offered at St. Columba School. I'm here to speak for my own children and for the over 600 students in Durango that support Ascent Classical Academy, and to represent around 360 homeschool families in our area like mine who are interested in sending their children to Ascent. We support Ascent because we value its curriculum, which is based on a secular classical curriculum. This is a well-established model that is used in many private charter schools all over the country. It focuses on history, language arts, mathematics, and science. In addition, woven into all parts of this liberal arts education program teaches courage, moderation, justice, responsibility, prudence, and friendship. These moral and intellectual skills are so needed for our children's future. Ascent's curriculum is transparent and is available on their website, and their open door policy welcomes anyone who is interested in their 3 established schools to visit, tour the school, and see what is going on in the classrooms, see what is being taught to the children. I know many homeschool families who are deeply dedicated to homeschooling. These families are resourceful, hardworking, and invested in their children's education. They make the ultimate sacrifice of staying home to educate instead of being a dual income household. In some instances, the homeschool family consists of a single parent, and still they find a way to make it work. You are not aware of these families and their hard work and dedication because they are not interested in discussions of 9R business and the way students are being taught in 9R classrooms. Their plates are full with the hard work that goes into homeschooling. However dedicated to this work that many are, there are still hundreds who would pull their children out of homeschool classrooms in the opportunity to send their children to an Ascent Academy in Durango. Many of these families have 4 or 5 children. The financial benefit that 9R district stands to gain with $9,000 per pupil revenue, plus the impact on the local economy with adults returning to the workforce, are positive and life-changing for the local economy and the 9R budget and 9R families. These are students of tax-paying families for whom 9R district has never seen per pupil revenue in the past. 9R educators who threaten to leave their positions and complain that Ascent would cause them to lose their jobs don't have a convincing argument. Thank you for letting me finish my sentence.
Erica Max. Is Erica Max here? No? Going once. Erica Max. Okay, Dr. John Cardinal. Did I say that correctly? Okay. Let's see.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay. My name is John Parkman. I'm an alternative healthcare practitioner in Durango. Been here since 2003. I have a 5 and a 2-year-old, so now I'm involved in education and I care all of a sudden. So anyway, I had to come see what all this was about because, I mean, gosh, I thought someone was trying to open like a marijuana shop or liquor store here with all the school. And I don't know all the facts, but that's why I'm here to learn what the facts are. So here's what I know. I did a home improvement project at my house, and I had an electrician, a plumber, and a contractor. I looked outside, they're all over 65. And I went out, and I love baby boomers. I was raised by a baby boomer, but I went out and I said, hey man, where's the next generation? Where's the young up-and-comers? He said, there are none. We're it. And we're only working, I mean, we want to retire, but we're working because we don't want to leave anybody in a lurch. I'm like, wow. He said, you know, after Generation X, which I am, he said, 40-year-olds already have kind of a career. Millennials, if you find them, great, 50-50. Generation Z, it's not getting better. So I was like, wow, that's pretty scary. So the next thing I know is homeschooling is growing. I don't know why, but it is. And by the way, that contractor did say the reason why he can't find anybody is work ethic, common general knowledge, dedication, reliability. They're learning those poor habits from somewhere. I don't know where. Durango has been really great at offering alternative education. art-based schools, music, nature, and we always preach diversity. And I'm not really feeling that diversity here tonight. I don't know why, but again, I'm here to learn. And what about the kids who do learn differently or need a structured, rigid curriculum, or the parents who want that for their kids? I mean, do we get a vote? I mean, I know we're footing the bill, so do we get a say, or maybe we don't? I don't know. Durango's growing fast, as you can see about the construction and influx of people. I feel if we bring choices for people and families moving here, that increases the value of our community. More choice, more value. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm probably not going to say this right. Loran Briagi, is that right? Is there Loran Briagi? This came right off of the sign-up form, so if it's not spelled right, no. Loran going once, twice, 3 times. Hey, William Knight.
Hello, my name is William Knight, and I'm a recent graduate of Durango High School. I'm fortunate to have attended Durango High School. I believe that they hold an arduous curriculum and prioritize diversity. I believe that I'm an example of the success that this curriculum produces, along with my sister and friends that are alumni of DHS and now attend prestigious universities such as West Point, Harvard, the University of Texas, and the University of Michigan. The list goes on and is extensive. I also witnessed the support that this school provides for the trades, and they have successfully prepared my peers for the future. Thank you.
Chase Menwalt.
Hi, my name is Chase Menwalt. I'm a recent graduate of Durango High School as well. I've had a very positive experience here at Durango. I participated in many sports. I feel that our sports programs and me and my teammates have instilled a high level of respect and determination. I've taken a lot of AP classes, like concurrent enrollment courses here at Durango High School. I've taken AP chemistry and AP calculus, has been my hardest ones. I've also taken 2 more college courses over at PCC, all of those credits are going to be transferring over to my college at Montana. So I'll be fortunate enough to start my freshman year taking classes as a sophomore. So that puts me greatly ahead in life. I'll be able to graduate college with my undergrad in 3 years instead of 4, so that's a massive head start in life. I feel very prepared to stay in college and to achieve my goal of attending medical school and becoming a practicing orthopedic. I've had great teachers that were willing to help spend time with me to help me master my craft. I've had a great academic advisor that has really helped guide me and place me in college, and I feel that I've made the right choice where to attend college. I have had lots of access and ability to be involved in many areas at Durango High School. For example, I've had the opportunity to join Studio Deca, speech and debate. In the aerospace team, I've not done any of that, but the majority of my friends have, and they are phenomenal. They're leaders at the school. We look up to them. They do a great job. They help me through school. And then we also have a lot of strong trades programs. Some of my buddies are doing that. And I just feel that that's something DHS does really well. As long with the academic part, we also have the trades programs. And I feel that DHS has adequately prepared me and my students to go to college.
Nick Huber did email that he could not attend due to work. Emily Dodge.
Hi, my name is Alex Dodge, and today I will be talking to you guys about my experience in the 9R district. I have been in the 9R district for all of my life, since preschool, and I am very happy that throughout my experience in the 9R district that I have been in music and art programs, and I'm really glad that this is a program or a school district that has the arts. I feel like the arts and music programs are very important for children and helps them develop creatively. I've also found a family within both all the groups I've been a part of. Like this year I was a part of Troop 1096, and I was also a part of the Colors Advanced Choir, and I found a very good family there. I hope that 9R continues to fund art and music programs and also recognizes the necessity for them. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Yumin Wang?
Right here.
Did I say that correctly? Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Yumin Hong. I'm a student at DHS. I've been a student at DHS for the past 4 years. Throughout my time at DHS, I've been involved in many clubs and activities, such as Key Club, El Diablo, DECA, Maya, Orchestra, NHS, and Wing Crew. Through each of these, I've learned a lot about teamwork and leadership. I was able to be involved at school as I wrote about student news and guided incoming freshmen. I've learned more about the community as I performed music and did community service. I gained real-world experience from clubs such as DECA and Maya. DHS has allowed me these opportunities, and I've learned to work effectively with other people, explore my interests, and build character. Also, I'll be attending Emory University, and I owe it to Durango High School.
Thank you. Lynn O'Brien?
My name is Lynn O'Brien, and I live in Durango. All of the negative, incorrect, and misinformed information circulating about Ascent has been so draining on our community. So since it's a proven fact, already approved by the state of Colorado, by the way, that Ascent is not a religious school or a non-inclusive school, and its test scores exceed 9R, and that they actually have great SAT scores, let's stick to the facts. This is a proven model and an uprising trend in education. It is not for everyone, but it is for 620 stakeholders in Colorado, students who will thrive at Ascent, although they have struggled in a typical public school program. I lead the steering committee here in Durango, and I've talked to hundreds of families about why they want Ascent and what their need is for their children's education. They want the same things that parents on the Front Range needed when they chose Ascent. One parent said her child was struggling with his public IDP until Ascent increased structure and diminished stimulation of technology, and that helped him soar with his IDP. Another said that her child struggled with behavioral problems but found success at Ascent because of a commitment to varied learning styles. This is what I hear from local families of Durango and Durango parents as well, parents who are homeschooling to try to serve the needs of their children. Let's get these students back into a successful classroom model and their parents back into the Durango workforce. This model of education is a rising tide nationwide because it works so well for these students. The taxpaying stakeholders of Durango 9R deserve a choice that works for them. As a Ascent parent recently reminded me of John F. Kennedy's quote, "A rising tide raises all ships." This school will elevate Durango, bringing new families, new jobs, and as Ascent creates its own school, not done with district money, by the way, and new executives looking for a destination with school choice, and what better destination than Durango, Colorado, a place where everyone has choice and diversity of thought reigns proud. If that is to remain true, then keep up Durango. Let's do this for 600 taxpaying stakeholders of our school district.
Whitney Hargraves.
My name is Whitney Hargraves, and I currently homeschool my children. Ask a classically educated child what they learned this year in school, and you are likely to hear, "I know that I know nothing." All joking aside, this quote from Socrates sums up what is the true goal of classical education: to impart the great wisdoms of the ages to its students, but also to remind us of the vastness of knowledge and the unknowingness of it all. What is happening within our country, in our town, online, and here in this room are emotional reactions not based in reality. A classical education is the antidote to that. Our job as parents and educators is to present facts and ideas to our children and to teach them how to form hypotheses and arguments without retreating to emotionalism. Every criticism I have heard concerning Ascent have been emotional appeals I feel like it's a Christian school. I believe it's hand-to-mouth relationship with Hillsdale College. It seems like insert any word for what you don't like. Beyond reading rich literature, studying science and the arts, a classical educated child has a deep grasp of history. They will look at original documents, popular arguments of the day, differing accounts of events in order to form a broad perspective of history. For decades, this type of education played out in one-room schoolhouses, in private boarding schools, and in the halls of our elite universities, but it was simply called an education. It was understood that the only way to progress was to look back at the great thinkers and leaders of the ages, from Aristotle and Martin Luther King Jr. to the founders and the Constitution, which created democracy. What a classically educated child does not get is a one-sided account of history. One of the criticisms I have seen is that Ascent's curriculum includes the teaching of the Federalist Papers. Perhaps, if these critics knew who Madison and Hamilton were, beyond to the Broadway stage, they would understand that the very water they are swimming in. In Federalist 10, Madison argues that humans have a tendency towards factions and tribalism.
Thank you. Julie Cleva, did I say that correctly?
Hi, good evening. My name is Julie Cleva. I live here in Durango. I have 3 children in elementary school, and I'm a practicing optometrist. Studies show that substantial gains when charter schools enter a market for lower income and minority students occurs almost every time. This is evidenced by how many charter schools are opening in our urban America populations, especially New York City, Southside Chicago, Atlanta, LA. In these markets, minority parents are speaking out for charter school because they're seeing their kids improve their test scores, improve their performance, decrease teen pregnancy, and increase higher education rates. Critics of Ascent will say that it will increase financial pressure on 9R. But the goal of public education is not to let the administration operate underperforming schools free from competition or financial pressure, but to educate kids. I believe our board has a win-win-win scenario with adding Ascent to our school. It's a win for the 60 to 70% of expressions of interest that are currently not attending 9R school that will be added into our district. It's a win for diversity of education, adding a classical model, which we do not currently have. And it's a win for 9R, as countless studies show that competition from charter schools boosts nearby traditional school scores. Ascent has 2 successful charter schools in Colorado already, with test scores that are above Durango schools. This is very important. As a parent of 3 children, 2 attend 9R, 1 is in private school. I want my kids to be successful when they leave the nest. I think that's what we all want. Please vote to add this charter. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen Shorat? Kristen Shorat here? Going once? Going twice? Next is Ed Rafty. Ed Rafty here?
How's the mic to the back row? Okay? My name is Ed Rathje. I've been a full-time district-wide substitute teacher since February of last year. I've spent a few months here in the high school, everything from aerospace engineering to pre-calculus to welding to biology, SAT prep, you know it. I also worked at both middle schools, also in 5 elementary schools, also big picture. And the year before that, I spent a couple of months teaching SAT prep at Ann's Charter. I want to talk about 2 things. Both are policies at Ascent which I urge the district to consider, expressed by a simple algebraic equation. Add Latin, subtract cell phones. Let me talk about Latin. I went to public school in New Hampshire in 8th grade when we started Latin. By the way, all the kids going to college took Latin. There was no Spanish. French was a second alternate. All the kids going to college took Latin. I learned more in Latin class about English than I did in English class. I remember the Latin teacher being appalled that we had not learned the pluperfect subjunctive in English class. A lot of people don't realize that 60% of English comes directly or indirectly from Latin. Latin is incredibly valued for careers in science, law, subpoena, under penalty, etc., etc. I urge the district to seriously consider adding Latin to the curriculum as an option. That's number one. Cell phones. There's a big difference between elementary school and middle school and high school. In elementary school, kids are on task 100% of the time. No cell phones. It's really, really amazing. I urge you to reconsider your cell phone policy.
Next we have Heather Escaland. Did I say that? Heather? Heather, how do you say your last name? Escaland? Escaland. Does that work? Can you all hear me? No. No. You might need to get a little closer. Hello? Better? Okay. All right. I'm Heather Escalin. These are my boys, Sean, Cody, and Haley's up there. I'm here to speak on our behalf to urge the board to approve the charter school, Classical Ascent Academy. Their proven learning curriculum offers my 3 children a more traditional learning style centered around the fine arts, history, and a sense of responsibility to community, country, and others. Durango is adorned in culture and diversity. I believe that Ascent Classical Academy will only enrich these values in our community. There is not an option for a classical education program remotely within reach of Durango. And we, the people of Durango, have spoken with well over 600 expressions of interest in this school that we desperately need one. Let us take the lead and enrich our children's opportunities. Please approve Classical Ascent Academy. With my last little minute, I just want to address a couple issues. People keep bringing up waivers and such. These waivers are what we want for our children. This is the difference that it makes. This is the difference that 9R's not offering us. And if people don't appreciate those, that is quite fine. There are many options. We're not here to pity any one of them. We just want our options heard as well. We want this for our children. And as far as not having licensed teachers, I don't know how many of y'all went to college in this room, but I guarantee you we're not taught by a licensed teacher. Most colleges are taught by professionals. This is what this school wants to offer our children, the best of the best. They want to get the best of the best historians, the best of the best people to teach literature and arts to our kids. This is what we want for our children. Please hear us. Thank you. Yeah, Heather! Aaron, comments?
Okay, microphone. So I am a District 9R parent. I have 2 children who attend Berea Ascent Elementary. According to the Ascent Classical Academy Douglas County website, Hillsdale College's involvement in the Ascent Classical Academy network is significant, though limited to advising on curriculum, staff training, and recommending school leadership candidates. Any District 9R charter school should align with the 9R mission. The Ascent Charter application speaks to core knowledge in the 21st century. I believe that core knowledge in the 21st century includes the following 3 tenets of the Durango 9R mission statement: innovation, the ability to compete and contribute in the global community, and a safe and healthy learning environment. Innovation. Is classical education innovative? I would argue that by definition, it is not. The ability to compete globally. Ascent's mission speaks of preserving our Western heritage. I ask, whose Western heritage do we want to preserve? And what about the rest of the world? A safe and healthy learning environment. According to the New York Times, in a recent fundraising appeal, Hillsdale pleaded for $17.76 to help counter leftist academics teaching and a biased and distorted view of American history. The pitch cited the New York Times 1619 Project, which argues that slavery and white supremacy are dominant themes in American history, as an example of false teaching in schools. If, as is stated on the Ascent Classical Academy's website, Hillsdale's involvement in the Ascent Classical Academy's curriculum is significant, is this the type of curriculum we are to expect? Does this curriculum create a safe and healthy learning environment for Durango 9R students of color?
Cam Formby?
My name is Cam Formby. I'm a Durango native and a parent of a school-aged child who has been removed from 9R. There are 3 points I would like to make. The board claims inclusiveness. Durango School District 9R, the district, strives to be an equitable, inclusive educational system and community, a place where all students, staff, and family members feel valued, safe, and welcome. This statement is directly from the 9R School Board Education Resolution on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion that was passed in January 21. Over 600 families in our community want Ascent Charter School in Durango. Denying Ascent is not practicing inclusiveness. Ascent would bring back 60% of 9R's lost student population and the revenue associated with it. Neither will be recovered without Ascent's presence. Secondly, we need school choice in Durango. The current existing charter and private schools have a waiting list for the 22-23 school year. Durango can support another charter school as we see business professionals and executives relocating to Durango and expect options for their children. Ascent will also create job opportunities in our community for teachers and staff. Do they not also deserve choice? Lastly, denying Ascent's access to Durango will show the board's true character. The district's recent court filing against Ascent, costing taxpayers of the community thousands of dollars to determine the district's own written policies, is unwarranted and a true outward testament of the district's intentions to deny and exclude its own community members. The Colorado Board of Education said it best after ordering 9R to review Ascent's application. I quote, "The school board's district decision to forego early review of Ascent's charter's application was contrary to the best interest of the pupils, school district, or community. Each board member took an oath to serve the children and families of this community. Now, the time to uphold your oath and approve Ascent."
Next is Zealand Eaton.
Hi, my name is Zealand Eaton, and I'm a sophomore here at DHS. I'm just here to talk about some of these amazing experiences that I've had here at DHS. So my favorite thing about DHS probably is the Cte program, which stands for Career and Technical Ed, and it focuses less on textbook-based learning and more on hands-on skills-based learning that translates directly right into career paths. So my favorite was marketing, and I took marketing freshman year. This allowed me to get into a field in a club called DECA, and through DECA I've been able to travel the country and perfect, my skills in marketing and in business and hospitality. So it's just been an amazing experience. Through DHS, I love the diversity of programs that they offer and just the overall school spirit. And I think it's a really great community, and it's just a great opportunity to learn skills that are more hands-on because of the Cte program. So thank you.
Taylor Yazzie.
Good evening. I'm Taylor Yazzie, and I'm a recently graduated student of Durango 9R School District and have been a part of the district my entire life. Growing up in a first-generation family from the Allen Reservation, being part of the school district was something my family was worried about, but I quickly found communities I felt safe in with sports, clubs, and the classroom. I had phenomenal support growing up in the Durango Manor school system, with my school faculty and staff constantly pushing me further than I thought was possible. Not always being involved, many of my teachers and classmates pushed me to join the student leadership program as a sophomore. After years of applying myself to the student leadership program, I leave as the former student body co-president for Durango High School Student Council, and without a student leadership program, great college counselors, and my academic advisors, and the TRIO talent search program, I wouldn't have an ordained from scholarship, which would be paying $25,000 annually for my tuition as I continue my education at the University of Arizona next fall. Leadership and love are what I am taking with me beyond my high school education. Leadership is seeing potential in someone else when they may not see the potential of themselves. Love is wanting someone else to achieve their own pursuit of happiness just as badly, if not more than your own pursuit of happiness. I have been surrounded by a community of love and leadership my whole life through the Manor school system. I would continue to offer this to my fellow classmates and community members with my new leadership role as a Daniel Scholar. These teachings I will forever keep with me, and I will add to this school and school district. Thank you.
Helene? Did I say that right? Helene.
Hello everybody, my name is Helene Brimhall, and I'm a recent high school graduate here at DHS. Today I am here to represent Troop 1096 here at the high school. I've been a part of the troop since my freshman year and was privileged to be involved in both acting and tech in this very room. The teachers involved in the theater and the arts program here at DHS have encouraged and cultivated my talents on an individual level to make me a better performer and a human being. This is the same for each member of the troop. I was the vice president of the senior board for the high school's theater this year to keep track of all the positions and roles that the students took on for this season. This position helped me develop critical leadership skills to communicate with the rest of my senior board members, to talk about funding for our program, and how to better spread word about our wonderful productions. The hard work that the student thespians put into every show was converted and totaled under the requirements of the International Thespian Society. Let me see. Overall, I cherish my memories here at DHS, but theater, and specifically Troop 1096, really taught me how to uplift incoming thespians who need a space to feel comfortable, safe, and respected. That's what every student, no matter where they are, should strive for and attain. Thank you.
Samantha Newcomer.
Hi everyone, my name is Sammy Newcomer. I'm a graduate senior from DHS, and I will also be talking about the theater program and how the curriculum at the 9R school has allowed me to succeed. For some context, I've been a costume head since my sophomore year, which has been an amazing opportunity for me to explore how much I love the tech piece of theater. And I've actually been part of the troop since 7th grade when our director let middle schoolers audition, and I was part of Beauty and the Beast. The theater is a diverse and accepting social group that helps with social skills, creativity, self-confidence, and inventiveness. You are able to join the theater at any time, even if you have no experience in the department, which I think is one of the things that makes it very special. You will always find a way for you to be included, even if it's the end of your senior year. The troop, with the help of our amazing directors, is completely student-run. We have a student board that is responsible for fundraising, event production, and promotion of the shows. And on top of that, all the technical pieces are student-created. The set, lights, sound, costumes, etc., you name it, all are student-run. And you have the opportunity to perform on stage and or work behind the scenes, plus having the ability to take theater as an elective, build our knowledge on all the important pieces that we have to know with the different methods and emotional training. The theater is not only an incredible safe space for everyone in it, but the public school system has allowed us all to have amazing opportunities because of funding, for things like being able to go to the radio station to be interviewed, or going up to Denver for ThesCon to perform pieces and get exceptional scores to help with college applications. Being part of the theater program has allowed me to receive some amazing scholarships at my future college, so I'm able to perform performing arts and costume design. The Troop 1096 theater program was not only a fun activity, but was a career launching point for many of us. So basically, in conclusion, the highlight of my last 4 years at DHS was being involved with Troop 1096, and DHS has prepared me for the future. Thank you very much.
Donna Goulet.
Hello, my name is Donna Goulet. I am a business owner here in Durango and a mother of 2 DHS graduates. I understand understand that the board and the teachers union are concerned about an impact study that identifies declining student enrollment and teaching positions. I'm going to throw some numbers. There are 360 homeschool students. There are 245 students at Mountain Middle School and 186 students at St. Columba. So in fact, 9R has already lost 800 students and almost $8 million to schools outside the district. There was a potential for Ascent, which would be a charter school inside the district, to draw their 540 pupils from these out-of-district schools, or bringing back over $5 million to the district. In addition to more money, Ascent plans to hire over 20 teachers and additional administrators. I have personally spoken with families that cite poor test results, the mask mandate, and curriculum that does not support their values as the main reason for leaving 9R. And many more families plan to relocate out of the area if Ascent is not approved. Business owners cite 9R's poor test scores and lack of school choice as key reasons that potential employees give for not moving into the area. And those include physicians, business owners, and professionals. In addition, you will allow the over 150 parents that left their careers to homeschool their children. You'll allow them to re-enter the workforce. By approving Ascent, you have an opportunity to increase 9R's enrollment by up to 19%.
Jeremy Voss.
Jeremy Voss, the principal at Escalante Middle School. And here tonight just to talk a little bit about, after hearing a lot of public discourse about the state of our current middle schools, I really want to open our doors to our community so that you get to see the wonderful things that are happening in our public schools, and so that there's already an established, wonderful option for our kids. So a few things I would like you to be aware of. Academically, Escalante has 3 pillars. We want our work to be complex, require craftsmanship, and be authentic. One of the ways that we make our work authentic is to open our school learning to the community. And so I would like to invite any person who's shopping. I heard some comments about, I just want to hear more about this. What is there? Well, come to Escalante tomorrow, 4 to 5:30. We're hosting our Celebration of Learning event. You can see the curriculum, you can see our kids, the way that we have so many diverse perspectives reflected in our student body. And I just would like to comment that I'm extremely proud of our school. Here are some of the highlights that you'll see when you come to Escalante. We have an outstanding choir, band, orchestra program, along with guitar, digital music production. You can hear that happen in our foyer tomorrow. We have robotics and computer science offerings that feed directly into the aerospace and engineering programs at our high school that you've heard many of our students, some past students at Escalante, some from Miller, talk about. And we are the feeder program at the middle school. We have a wood shop that doubles as a maker lab with computer programming components involving laser engraving and CNC machines, so that our students are prepared for the construction CTE track at the high school so that we can fill that niche. We have an agriculture program using hydroponic growing technologies that produce 90 heads of lettuce a week. So come tomorrow, see Escalante.
Sorry. Thank you. Is it Tara or Tara? Tara. Thank you.
Hey, what's happening?
Right. Oh, there's some.
Wow. Look at this.
And a school that no one would be forced to attend. I have chosen not to send my children to other schools in this district, but I would never argue that those schools should not be allowed to operate or that parents should not send their children. The number of interested families speak loudly to the draw that Ascent would have to those who are not currently participating in 9R schools like mine. Homeschooling is not for everyone. Ascent is not for everyone, and public school is not for everyone. Durango has a rich history of educational diversity, and I urge you to see that it continues.
Mary Kay Stewart, please come. Mary Kay Stewart. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Kay Stewart, and as a math educator and the daughter of a former DHS English teacher, I have many concerns about Ascent Classical Academy. I'm probably going to go off script here to address a couple of comments that were made by some people who are for this. I am not against charter schools. I think charter schools, to give more choice, are excellent. I would like to see some of the statistics about those things that people have said about charter schools allowed for a better community, but is it the Ascent charter schools that do that? My main concern is the number of waivers. This has been addressed multiple times in comments prior. I will not go into them, only from my personal experience as a certified teacher. The first comment was professionals should be teaching. I taught college. Professionals do not make the best teachers. Trust me. I know. Okay? I know this. Professionals don't necessarily do it, and most of them don't. So, that went out of the way. It takes teachers years to become proficient in their craft. It is mostly done with study, collaboration with more experienced teachers and master teachers mentoring the less experienced. Since one of their arguments is they already have schools in Colorado and in other states, I would ask to compare apples to apples. I want to know what the statistics are in those particular demographics, how their schools, how the Ascent Academy is doing against the existing school populations in those areas, not how it's doing against Durango schools. I don't care what curriculum is taught. If it is not taught by experienced, certified teachers, the students will be worse for it.
Sorry. Tim Shaldak, did I say that correctly?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Tim Shaldak, parent of one DHS graduate and one Animas High graduate. Members of the school board, please do not be fooled by this charter school application. Just a little bit of research confirms that the network of ACA organizations is clearly, undeniably Christian-based. Now, of course, that does not mean they're going to hold Bible study classes here in Durango. That would be far too obvious. But it does mean that conservative Christian morals, ethics, worldview, and values will permeate their operations and their curriculum. If you don't believe me, look first at Appendix 16 of the charter school application, the family handbook. Quote, Ascent Classical shall look to Hillsdale College as the first and primary source of models, resources, and guidance on the development and operation of the charter school's academic mission, academic policies, curriculum, and teaching practices, unquote. Okay, so then who is Hillsdale College? Check their website, and it clearly describes the type of school as non-sectarian Christian. Couldn't be much more clear. Still not convinced that the connection with Hillsdale matters? Okay, try this quick thought experiment. Imagine that Hillsdale was a Muslim college. Do you think there would be much local support for a charter school that looked to, let's call it Hillsdale Muslim Studies College, as the first and primary source of models, resources, and guidance? No, neither do I. So, my suggestion to ACA and their supporters is that you go ahead and open your Christian school. That would be great, because it would provide a distinctly non-mainstream educational choice, something that I'm sure everyone in this room supports. But follow Hillsdale's example. Keep the charter school private. Don't ask the public at large to pay your bills. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Heather Hawk.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I am a parent of 2 children in the Durango 9 School District and a volunteer for the district for the last 12 years. I reviewed the application by ACAD, I guess the Ascent Classical Academies of Durango, and I asked the board to reject it based on the fact that the current level of interest submitted for this application does reflect an impact that will have lasting ramifications for students in the future. According to the Charter Schools Act, Section 22-30.5-104, Item 4, the Charter School Requirement Authority, a charter school should be administered and governed by a governing body in a manner agreed to by the charter school application and the chartering local school board. As this application is a guide for a charter contract, I asked the board to look more closely at the request for non-local governance of this school. The Ascent Academy is offering only 1 seat for representation from a Durango school community member and proposes a school accountability committee with all 7 members appointed by the headmaster of the school and a limit to parent participation. We currently have no school accountability in the community that limits parent participation. It is open to all in every school, including the 3 charters currently offered in this school district. This limits local and community involvement to a total of 7 individuals. Given the number of students the school is interested in serving, 450 to 800 students within 7 years, this does not demonstrate a high share of parental or community accountability and engagement. And based on this level of parent and community involvement in this meeting and earlier Durango 9R board meetings, I would assume that there is rationale for local control of this board. If there is not interest in local governance, there's no need for this.
Next we have Benj Frederick. Is that right, Benj? Benj Frederick? Going once, twice. Next we have Whitney Hansen.
Hi, my name is Brittany Hansen. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a working mom, and I've come tonight to support Ascent Classical Academy. What an opportunity we have as a community to have this school come here. Classical education is much needed in our community. The United States of America is proficient in nothing when it comes to education. Not only are we one of the wealthiest, I mean, we are the wealthiest, we are the most free, but yet something has happened with our education and we're not making the cut. Usually classical education doesn't come free. Usually it comes with a big, huge tuition bill, and it's a program that's set up for college prep. People pick classical academies because it prepares their children for colleges, and what an opportunity we would have this in our area for kids to be able to partake in this and be able to go for tuition free. Not everybody in this room and in our community come from the same economic backgrounds, and we're basically not allowing our children to get this type of education because it would normally cost you money. And I'm asking the board to approve Ascent. I want to touch on really quick, I have 35 seconds, is their uniform policy. Going along with the economic backgrounds of our community and how diverse we are, uniforms are a pretty amazing thing. You don't have to worry about everybody in your class is like, oh, I'm gonna go buy clothes this spring or fall and get ready for the school season. No, I'm not. I'm going down to Goodwill and that's how I get dressed. How many girls in the locker room cry because they don't have the same sneakers or outfits that the rest of the kids do? It's a good education, the uniforms are great, and you guys will get into all the other stuff.
Thank you. Johan, is it Cleva? I'm sorry, is it Cleva? Cleva? Thank you.
Yes, sorry. Okay. My name is Johan Cleva. Not a U.S. citizen. I was born and raised in Norway. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I was going to say, my name is Johan Cleva. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I was born and raised in Norway. As you probably know, Scandinavia is not a hotbed of right-wing conservatism, but I'm very strong in favor of the Ascent Classic Academy. I have 3 kids in this district. I don't understand why you guys are so afraid of some competition. I heard input from the teacher union here in the extracurricular crowd, but please consider to have another school in this district. We need more diversity in education, and there's no, simple fact is that almost between 60 and 70% of students last year was one whole grade level below their actual grade in reading and math, which is, as a European, that's awful. There's no excuse for that. So please vote to approve the Ascent Classic Academy. Thank you.
Troy Goulet? Is Troy here?
He is not here.
Okay.
And he has asked me to read his letter.
No, we can't do that. You have to be here. I'm sorry. Did you, maybe you can read it. Did you sign up for a spot?
I did not sign up. Troy asked me, he was unable to come here.
We can't do that. You have to be the people. Sorry. Kaya, and we did not limit the number of people, so we kept it open for a week. Kaya Hoffman?
Hi, my name is Kaya Hoffman, and I just graduated. I've been a part of the 9R school district my entire life, and I'm not sure how much I've learned from the core classes or what I will remember, but I do know that I have learned all my social skills from public school, and I have also been a part of many clubs here and elective classes. I think Durango High School offers a lot of good electives such as the trades, woodworking, welding, and I have also taken woodworking. I absolutely loved it. I've also been a part of fashion. My freshman year, I touched a sewing machine for the very first time, and I will use those skills for the rest of my life. Senior year, I took advanced fashion and was a part of the fashion show we put on. And I think these are all very
Dr. Chesser
important
says that these students are
everyone
speaking because
wants to
people
go
are
to
saying the
college,
schools are
and
not
these
good, and
trades,
that's why we're hearing
such
all
as
the time.
sewing and woodworking and welding are all very important. I've also been a part of Scuba Club and got to travel to Roatan, Honduras. I got to learn about coral restoration there, and it was my first time out of the country, first time ever seeing a third world country, and it made me very grateful for the things I have and gave me a better understanding. And I would have never thought to try scuba diving or even sewing if I didn't take these electives and was a part of these clubs, and I think they are very important. Thank you.
Hazel Seashore Botha. Is she here? Going once, twice. Thomas Pope.
Hi, my name is Tommy, and I just graduated from DHS. I would like to speak about the Cte Program at DHS, a business and marketing student organization. I have found great success at DHS and know that I wouldn't have been able to find it elsewhere. Through DECA and the tireless support of DHS, I have served as a state officer for 2 years in a row. In my last year, I served as the state secretary, the third-ranking member of over 7,000 members. In this position of state leadership, I have seen state themes that I have personally created on thousands of t-shirts and was extremely proud when my suggestion for a nonprofit, Mental Health Colorado, received a check for over $10,000. This is experience that is undoubtedly shaping my future and greatly improved my leadership skills. It is this experience that I am very confident I wouldn't have been able to get at other schools in Durango. Also, this April, I got 4th place at the International Career Development Conference in my accounting event. When I look back at the last 18 years of my life, most of my biggest accomplishments are within Durango High School DECA. There's a common denominator with kids in this school who really enjoy school. It is the kids that are involved. The thespians who spend hours in this theater. The Stuco kids who bleed red and black. The athletes who find community in their sports. There is a reason students from other schools come to DHS for extracurriculars. DHS is a large school that provides these opportunities to get deeply involved. The opportunities that allow students to enjoy life in school. The opportunities that not only create a student, but build a human with compassion and empathy. The opportunities that forge grit within their students. DHS doesn't only build students, it builds leaders.
Kenneth Mills.
Hi, I'm Kenneth Mills, a graduate. I'm here to talk about all of the clubs I've been part of and why.
Be a little closer.
Okay. The first club that I'm going to talk about is sexuality and gender acceptance. Being a part of Saga has allowed me a safe space to be myself. And without that club, I don't know. I'd probably be a worse person than I am. Because it provides support if you need it, and also a safe space, as I said. I've also been part of Troop 1096, and that's helped me become better at working with others on projects. I also met some of my best friends in the whole world. I've also been part of Choir, and Choir has given me a found family and also made me a more confident singer in person. And academic support. Academic support gives extra time on tests, help on homework when you need it, and teaches kids important skills like advocating for themselves. And yeah.
Jennifer Macho-Seekins. Oh, is Jennifer here? Going once? Twice? I don't think she's here. No. Helene?